This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Kyle, I guess maybe talk about, you've got one under your belt now, and you get a chance to stretch this winning streak to double digits. What's the feeling of the room today?
Yeah, I mean, the guys are feeling great. They're obviously still building the game up. It's, you have a long break like that. It doesn't matter if you're on a 7-game win streak or a 7-game losing streak. It's kind of almost a reset. That's how we looked at it. Yeah, it's nice, obviously, to keep it going, but, we're looking to build this thing and get better every day.
That's Jets sniper Kyle Connor joining the program. Yeah, he had a nice pass there to Gabriel Velarde late in the third period. 9th win in a row for the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday, 4-3 in a shootout.
Franchise record.
Yeah, also scored in the shootout, scored the game-winning goal there.
That was a beauty.
That was a nice one. That was good overtime. That's I think when they envisioned 3-on-3, that's what they're envisioning. It's become more of a puck possession game.
Do you want 10 minutes instead of 5?
Nah, that's
what?
Fine. That's fine.
Really?
Yeah, I don't care. If you can't score 3-on-3 in 5 minutes and go to a shootout, that's enough. You know who actually I want to hear this?
I want to ask our next guest if he enjoys the would enjoy the shootout.
Former Jets 1.0 goalie Pokey Reddick joining us as Black History Night goes tonight at Canada Life Center as the Jets play the San Jose Sharks. What do you think about that, Pokey? Do you think how would you feel first of all in a situation where you'd have to play 3-on-3 for 5 or 10 minutes? Well, what do you think about that? How do you think you would do? And do you think it should be 10 minutes over 5?
I think it'd be better to do the shorter version of it. You already played the whole game, and the kids are so good now, and the guys are so good now. It's usually going to end pretty quick. So, I mean, I don't. That 3-on-3 is tough, regardless of how long it is.
Yeah. No doubt about that. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line wins a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. Former Jets 1.0 goalie joining us right now. Pokey, really appreciate you hopping on the show. The nickname Pokey, where does that come from?
That's just a house name I had since I've been a little boy. Now that I'm 60, it's kind of hard to explain every time somebody, hey, how'd you get Pokey? I got it when I was running around the house being a little lazy and just being what kids do sometimes, right?
Is there any other nicknames in the house, like brothers, sisters, cousins, or anything?
Yeah, my little brother has a nickname. His was Smokey. He played a little bit, but that was it. I have one sister, but she didn't have a nickname. So,
where's Smokey come from?
They just had it rhyme with Pokey and then Smokey, and then it just, that's what his nickname was. He played goalie, okay. He played for the hat. It is what it is, right?
Yeah, this stuff's never complicated. It's just like you expect some epic story. It's like, Dad gave it to me.
Yeah, it's not. I've heard stories where they've said it's this and that. I said, no, wrong guy. That's not it. No.
Well, Eldon, this is Jim. I'm going to call you Eldon because I think that's a badass handle, too. It's just as good as Pokey, and nobody uses it. Eldon's a good name.
Eldon, if I get Eldon, I usually think I'm in trouble.
All right, well, we'll go with Pokey then.
There you go.
I want to get to where it all starts. First of all, you're 60. How old am I then? Like, as soon as I knew you would be coming on, I'm like, Pokey and the Bandit used to be one of the greatest handles for two goalies in the entire history of the National Hockey League, and it seems like yesterday. Where did it all start for you, and when did you start playing hockey and fall in love with it?
I started like every Canadian kid does. You start as soon as you basically can stand up, and I probably started playing, I'd say 6, 7-ish, and then I played all my junior out west, and got to pro, and that's where it started basically. Like every kid wants to play ball hockey or road hockey or whatever. You know how it is in Canada. You guys grew up in Canada, so that's our sport, right? That's what we do.
Yeah, and you were with the Wheat Kings, correct?
That's where I finished up because the Jets, I didn't get drafted, but they wanted to see me more because I was actually playing in New West at the time, out on the west, in British Columbia. So
I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about that actually because you went to Billings, Montana, and then Nanaimo on the coast, then New Westminster, and you said the Jets wanted to have a look at you, so you came in and played 47 games for Brandon. What was Billings, Montana like in 1981-82? And because we're honoring Black History Month, what was hockey like in Billings, Montana at the time, and then for yourself being a black athlete in goal, what was that like?
Different. We're gonna call it different. You know what I mean? Playing, because I did play a year before I went to Billings in Saskatchewan for Swift Current Broncos back in the day. They were Tier 2, and then I got called up to Billings, and that's in Montana. So it was more like, you know it's a little different because you're the only basically black kid in the league at that particular time. So it's a little different.
And different, Pokey, though, let's be honest here, different is being a kind way to say this, right?
Exactly. That's how we're going to put it. But
so what
percent deter from what I wanted to do, so it is what it is.
So you dealt with a whole lot of crap because you had a love for this game.
Correct, exactly. And if you love something and you're passionate about it, you're going to do the best you can in the situations you have and try to turn some of those to positive and try to catch your dream is what you're trying to do, right?
So you were undrafted. What do you feel was your big break?
I think playing in Brandon, because that was my first camp with the Jets, and they decided instead of going way over there, we'll make a trade to have you play in Brandon so we can get just keep tabs on you, so to speak. So that was more of, I played one exhibition game against the Kings in Brandon, and that was my break kind of thing there. I didn't make the club that year, but they knew that I can kind of play like a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you have a booster on the team? Was there somebody with the Jets organization that sort of took you under their wing and was sort of your go-to guy that was your supporter?
I would say like all the guys I played with pretty much were supporters. And I'd say John Ferguson was my biggest supporter. Fergie was a great guy, and Charlie Hodge and those guys were all, it's different because you're a little, it's different for you. Mm-hmm. So they were always in my corner if something happened or whatnot. So I had a lot of people that were behind me, you know what I mean?
I read in an interview, and you said this. You said every year it should get a lot easier. And we're not just talking about black hockey players. We're talking about hockey players. Now coming from that quote that you said, and I hope I'm misquoting you and you remember saying that, but what does this Black Heritage Night mean to you tonight in Winnipeg?
It means it's a time that I knew back in the day there was 4 or 5 guys in the league that were of different, we were different color-wise, and for us it's a big milestone, and now it's a little bit easier for the newer kids coming in and other, not just black, brown, anybody of different, nationalities or colors are allowed to play. And so our guy was Willie O'Ree, so we looked up to him, and now it's maybe some of them looked up to us, and now there's another younger group of people that they can look up to, where hockey should be for everybody. That's the way we looked at it, right? Yeah. Do you remember seeing Willie O'Ree on the ice for the first time? Do you remember where you were? Yeah, I was home. I watched a lot of hockey night in Canada, and I remember the first game we jumped in, and your parents always told you about, Willie O'Ree. He didn't play a lot, but enough to understand that you could do this if this is what you want to do. Not, it's not going to work, but put your heart into it and work hard, and you never know. You just don't know.
Along with your journey, and you mentioned that, the challenges and the difficulties of it, anybody stand out to you that sort of helped you along the way? And you mentioned the Jets and John Ferguson and stuff, but I would assume as much as you had to deal with, there was hopefully more than just the odd person that sort of stood up and stood by you.
Oh, no, there's a lot of people, it takes a bunch of people, to raise, there's just so many people, I can't even tell you how many people helped out along the way. It's just little things, especially going into visiting rinks like in Philadelphia, or once you got to America, it was a little bit tougher to get into these rinks and stuff. But guys on the team were always behind me. So I know there was 23 guys, GMs, coaches, scouts, everybody was always behind me. So
I read that you had previously coached the first high school hockey team in Nevada, and this was following the Golden Knights. It was after they arrived in town. What was that experience like, and what was it? How did things change? And I know you played in Vegas before. How did things change since the Golden Knights have come to Vegas? I know you live there too now.
Yeah, I lived there. I've been there for 30 years. It's changed a lot. My kids grew up playing hockey there. Other kids, I remember even actually I had a Pee Wee AAA team, and we played against Comrie. Because I went down to the locker room today and said hi to him. I said, "You've grown a lot." Yeah, I'm 29 now. So I know he grew up in California because Vegas, when it's travel hockey where we live, it's travel hockey. You're not, being one AAA team in Nevada, you got to go play everywhere. So we end up playing to L.A. or you go back east if the kids are really good. That's where we test our talents and stuff like that. But it's hockey's growing. They don't have enough rinks right now, and they're working on it with the Golden Knights. But it's taken off. Always, it's unreal. Like it's how many kids are playing hockey now, girls and boys, all different colors and shapes and sizes and whatever.
It's funny how Eric Comrie has grown, but he hasn't aged. His face is the same as when he was a kid.
No, I said you still look like you're 12. He's a good kid. He's a good guy. Good man. I'm going to say he's not a kid anymore. So.
Hey, Pokey. It's such an honor to not only have you on the program, but to have you here tonight and to see how everything has gone and still work to do, but real honor to have you here. And I think that you are one of the trailblazers, as many people like yourself look at Willie O'Ree, that a lot of players look at you that way. And I hope you understand that. And thank you for coming to Winnipeg and doing what you're going to do tonight.
No, I wouldn't. It's a great city. I had my first kid here. The fans have been always unbelievable to me. It was an easy choice. I'm coming. So
Pokey,
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Pokey Reddick, former Jets 1.0 goalie, joining us. Pokey, take care, okay? Thanks so much. Enjoy the game tonight.
Yep, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I won't call you Eldon again. If Eldon's you think you're in trouble. That's like when I get James, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, who the heck calls you James? Yeah. Your parents still call you James?
Grandma used to.
Yeah.
If she was happy, it was Jimmy Tom, and if she wasn't, it was James Thomas.
Uh-oh.
When I got the James Thomas, I was like, oh,
big trouble.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Let's come back. Still lots to get to here. Back at Canada Life Center. Haven't been there since February 7th because of the Four Nations break. So it's a return to hockey here in Winnipeg in a sort.
I want to bring something up Josh Morrissey just said about the Four Nations.
Okay, we'll discuss that. Hey, when we come back, why don't we talk about that? And Vladislav Namestnikov got a new contract. It wasn't surprising, but it made me go, huh. We'll be right back. We'll talk about that too.
Jets at noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
You highlighted a quote from Josh Morrissey. What did he just say there, Jim Toth?
So he just said this post-practice, quote, to me, on missing the Four Nations final.
Yeah.
Quote, to me, that was the biggest game of my life, and I didn't want to miss that game. It was crushing. But at the same time, when we were at the rink sitting there and things weren't improving, it would have been selfish of me to go and play that game.
Matthew Tkachuk?
Matthew Tkachuk. Played 1 period, 4 minutes. If you can't go, you can't go.
You know what? I saw that pass from KC at the end of the third period that forced overtime, and I was thinking, maybe Team USA could have needed a little bit of something like that.
And I'm the first to admit, Kyle Connor struggled in that tournament, did not play well, was demoted. But if you got a guy that you're not sure can play more than 4 minutes in 1 period, do you not it's not like you're waiting to bring in somebody from the A. It's Kyle freaking Connor who is fully healthy. It's selfish. And bad coaching, in my opinion.
Vladislav Namestnikov's new contract. Does this change anything? We'll discuss that when we come back.
I'm a Vladdy fan. Obviously, I had him in New York and some history with him. I just think he's a real competitive guy that has found a way to, in this league, to stay in this league and to be effective. He's played the bottom six role. He's played the top six role. He's been on winning teams. To me, we can use him. Obviously, he got, put into a role of being second line center, and, has handled it very, very well. He's also kills penalties for us. He's on our second power play unit. He's a brave guy. He's a guy that will block shots in any situations. He's also a little bit of a pest out there. He likes to get under the skin of the opposition. So he's, in the last part, he wants to be here. He wants to be a Winnipeg Jet, and that's that for us. That's you'd love to hear that. And yeah, I'm a big fan of what I get from him every night.
That's head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, Mr. Scott Arniel. I don't know if he'd like it. I called him Mr., but I decided to throw it in there.
Mr.
Yeah.
He'd probably say that was my dad's name. Why don't you
What's his
just call
dad's
me
name, Scott?
No, the Mr. Arneal.
Oh, Mr. Arneal. Yeah. Jets Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line will win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later on in the program. I want to talk to Namestnikov.
Did you know Mr. and Mrs. Arneal were outstanding curlers?
I did not know that.
Very, very good curlers.
Oh, he was probably watching the Scotties yesterday.
He probably was.
Yeah.
Saying my mom can do that.
Yeah, listen, kids, Grandma and Grandpa could do that. We'll talk about Namestnikov in just a second here, but I want to just get through some of the stuff from today's morning skate. All the lines have reverted back to the way it was before. So Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, Ehlers, Namestnikov, Perfetti, Niederreiter, Lowry, Appleton, Gustafsson, Kupari, Iafallo, Morrissey, DeMello, Sandberg, Pionk, Stanley, Miller, and then Hellebuck's going to start in net. Lowry's back. Stanley's still in there. Arneal also said Morgan Barron is close, might be an option in Ottawa or Nashville. He was in his regular sweater for the second straight day. There's a practice tomorrow at 10 before they head off to Ottawa, so it'll be interesting to see how much he participates in that and see if he's ready for Ottawa or Nashville. Slot back into the fourth line.
Almost, perfectly healthy, right? That's what the break does.
Yeah.
Morgan Barron gets back in against Ottawa.
It was advantageous. Lowry's back, doesn't miss any time. Namestnikov. Now, listen, things change, right? Situations evolve. Nothing is ever concrete. While general manager Kevin Cheveldayoff just last month said the team has not yet engaged in contract negotiations with pending RFAs or UFAs, but he didn't say they wouldn't or couldn't start. That never came out of his mouth. And they obviously started one with Namestnikov at some point over the last little bit. And once his $2 million contract ended this year, of course, he would have been a UFA. He's decided he's going to spend two more with the Jets. The Jets want him back. They've inked a 2-year, $6 million contract extension. In my mind, if this deal found its way onto your lap and you're the Jets organization, you don't worry about this, you don't worry about that. You sign this deal and you keep Namestnikov with this organization for 2 more years, especially at this dollar figure. This is a no-brainer to me.
My only question at 32 years old is why wasn't it 3 years? And then I sort of looked at it and I go, you know why? Because in 2 years from now, hopefully he's a fourth liner and they can probably re-sign him again for less than $3 million. Yeah. That's why it's not 3 years.
That's right.
Look, feel free to have at it all you want. I even took a tweet yesterday from somebody who was criticizing Cheveldayoff for not getting Natchez when the rant and why didn't they get him, and look how good he's doing in Colorado and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, people have to stop with this. No GM is perfect. Every GM has multiple blemishes on their resume. If you look at how well this team is doing right now and how this slow build has gone, yes, no playoff success, full stop. But all the GM can do is build his regular season roster and augment it at the deadline to do as well as you can do. He does not play the games in the playoffs. He does not give up the high danger chances. He does not have poor goaltending. He does not have a power play that doesn't work. Yes, it's his job to get the pieces. It's the coach's job to get those pieces to perform to the ultimate. This is a sneaky good deal. It reminds me of Niederreiter's extension when it came out of nowhere. You have a player that you're getting much more of in so many different scenarios that wants to be here. And so and I would presume that if this has happened, he's had some conversations around some other pieces and just gone, well, part of my whole puzzle includes hopefully getting Namestnikov back at this price. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, I can do it. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
I like it. It's $3 million. The cap's going up. So it's equivalent with the cap going up in my mind over the next 2 years when it goes up is the equivalent of re-signing him to what he's making.
It was exactly what Scott Arneal said in the leading clip. I mean, he's done exactly what the team wants him to do in every position that they put him in.
That's what better compliment as a hockey player can you get?
Yeah.
Now, he's got 30 points, 10 goals in 53 games. Last year in 78 games, he had 11 goals and 37 points. I've always wondered as a former first-round pick why he's bounced around. Tampa Bay, the Rangers, Ottawa, Colorado, Red Wings, Dallas, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay reacquired him after having him for 5 seasons. That doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
You don't reacquire a first-round pick 6 or 7 years after he's been gone. And it's his hockey smarts. It's his, I think you drafted him thinking he would be a 70 to 80 point player. He's not. But what he is, he's very good at everything else. Face-offs, defensive game. His hockey smarts is off the charts.
He's balanced. Like, he's balanced.
His hockey smarts, Cam, like when he first came here, I'm like, okay, how is this guy bounced around? Why would Cheveldayoff want him? And in that very first game, his first 3 times on the ice, he made a play that kept a puck in the zone. He made a play that exited it, and then he gained the zone by himself. And instead of just dumping it in, he took a pause, turned the other way, wait for other guys to come in, then he dumped it off and got off the ice. He's just smart, right? He's got a good hockey IQ. So it sounds like I'm going on like he's the best player ever. He is what he is what I'm saying. And what he is he's a valuable part to any organization. And I think as another 2 years at $3 million is going to serve the Jets very well.
Yeah, the team values this. And for a guy they picked up 2 years ago for a 4th-round pick, who's now re-signed twice. This is his second contract here. I mean, this was a knock out of the park. This was a home run.
And then you add that in, right? It's the Matthew Perreault. I came here in a trade and I got used quite a lot, so I'm going to re-sign here. And then, like he even said, like, I love everything about Winnipeg. Yeah. I like the fan. I like this. I like that. He's been in Tampa Bay, New York for 3 years, Ottawa, Colorado, Detroit for 2 years, Dallas for 1, and back to Tampa Bay. And he said, I love Winnipeg. You know why a 32-year-old NHL player loves Winnipeg? Because he's playing regularly, he has a role that he likes, and he's on a good team. And at 32 years old, he's got a chance to win. He's not 23 going, am I going to get to wear shorts to the rink? Am I going to be able to live in New York City? He's a guy who gets it, right?
Now, did it surprise you after sort of the comments that, you know, we weren't speaking to anybody right now? This was never like cold water thrown on. We will not speak about this. We're focused on the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs in the season at hand. Did this sort of, was it, for me at least, I wouldn't say I was surprised, because if there was one player that I thought might get a deal midseason, it was Namestnikov. Just because of the dollar figure, his role on the team, what the organization thinks about him.
I never thought that.
Yeah.
I thought he would be the guy that would go into the summer and they would wait to see what they could do with Velarde and Ehlers and Pionk and all that stuff, and then go, hey, Vlad, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
The reason I like this, too, is maybe it was the agent.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the agent who called up and said, hey, look, I know you got a ton of things on your plate and all that, but just so you know, I talked to my client, and he would like to stay here. Like, without even throwing out number or term, and maybe Kevin's like, well, we like him, so let me have a look at this and see where everything fits. And then, like, to me, with the cap going up, the $3 million over the next 2 years is the $2 million he's made the past 2 years.
And a guy that does this much for the team, this is like, you can't sign this one quick enough. Like, you bring it in.
Vlad could have gone into free agency after a long playoff run, hopefully.
Yeah.
And said, I played second line center on this team. I'd like $4 million a year.
That is a great point, Jim.
And I'd like $4 million a year. I just helped the team get to the 3rd round of the playoffs. I play in every role. I would like to make $4 million a year. But he also would run the risk of people going, you're 32 years old. We've got some prospects. He might be out of work, right? Like, it's a fit. It's a fit for both sides.
Exactly. It's tough to say no when somebody says, here's $6 million. You know what I mean?
Like, Niederreiter, we know Niederreiter would have got a raise.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah. You know what you're doing here. You know what the organization feels about you. You like it. Why risk opening things up? Because you might circle back to Winnipeg if you do go to free agency and go, hey, we talked to some other people, and the Jets might look at you and say, hey, money's spoken for.
Or they might say, we'd love to have you back, but it's a year deal at $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a perfect fit both ways. And look, I'll say this to forever. Niederreiter would have got $5 million on the open market. Probably on a shorter deal, but he took no raise to stay here because he's got some term. He's going to play in the NHL for 3 more years minimum, and he took the same salary. There's something to be said about this. Like, as much as teams need to understand what they have and who they are and what they represent and what they can do for you, the player has to understand as well that, look, I'm 32, 33 years old. Somebody might not want to pay me $4 or $5 million, and then nobody wants to pay me anything. And then my only offer to make $3 million is back in the K or somewhere else in Europe. It's a natural fit here. I think it's a perfect fit.
Mike says Namestnikov simply is just solid and dependable. Yeah, Tough to.
I think that's the greatest compliment you can give an NHL player.
I'm with you on that.
Dependable, reliant, and you know what you're going to get.
Now, let's go back to some of the comments from Brendan Dillon and Dylan DeMello at the end of last season, where they were like, Nino got his deal. We were kind of sitting around talking, waiting for ours. They were sort of left wondering. Of course, DeMello re-signed before free agency, before July 1st. Brendan Dillon goes off and signs a deal with the Devils. Do you think that the Nikolaj Ehlers, the Neal Pionks, the Alex Iafallos, the Mason Appletons, they're put in a similar situation here? What do you think about that? Is this a mistake to sign a guy and potentially put those players in a similar situation that DeMello and Brendan Dillon were in last year?
Well, I said this on the program a couple months ago, and I wholeheartedly believe it. This is a different year because the minute you get Velarde done in season, all of a sudden Ehlers goes, where's mine? And then if Ehlers does the math, before we knew the cap was going up, he might go, there isn't mine. There isn't enough here. And then that could change the room, right?
Is this now, small enough that this doesn't get affected?
I don't think Nick Ehlers is, or any of the players on this roster, because they're so cohesiveness and they fix that room. I don't think any player sits there and goes, oh, woe is me, and this sucks, and I'll just loft my way through this next game. Yeah, but it's tough
not to think of something like that,
But they definitely go, well, I guess I got to, have a fantastic last 20 games because it doesn't look the writing's on the wall, and they put it back, but it's there in front of them. So I do think it's a different year that way, but I don't think this has anybody going, what about this, what about that? I think Alex Iafallo knows full well that he's not going to make what he's making this year here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I do think that there's been conversations of maybe not in season, but we like you and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
And let's focus on winning a cup. I think all conversations begin and end with, we appreciate you, we really like you, we got to win a cup.
Yeah.
We got to win a cup.
And Cheveldayoff did say that, right? He said that they had not gone into any formal negotiations. But of course, you keep tabs with players, you keep tabs with agents, and you check in.
They would have started training camp knowing what Ehlers wants. They would have had a conversation with Velarde. Go, what? Just we're going to work at this, and it might be next summer. We want to focus on winning a cup. But what are you thinking with their agents?
Let's take a break. Let's come back.
And sorry, Cam, quickly, their agents might be going, well, look, I think Velarde is going to have 70 points this year, and if he does, I think this. If he doesn't, I still think he's got this value, and that might be the extent of the conversation.
Download the Jets at Noon podcast free now on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you find your favorite podcasts with exclusive Jets talk and content only found there. And take Jets at Noon wherever you go and continue the conversation whenever you want. Exclusive content. We talk about Gabriel Velarde today in the exclusive podcast content. Download the podcast. We talk about when will Velarde become a point-per-game player? Does he have that potential? And Tyson Rewicki's now, we've thrown him in. The nephew of the program.
The show's nephew joined us today.
And he will continue.
He's all dressed up.
Yeah.
Like he's got his cargo pants on.
He's got his Copenhagen.
And a Copenhagen shirt.
I didn't know that the producer was getting paid more than the host.
And some dress shoes I'm positive he hasn't worn since his first communion.
Let's take a break. On the other side, there's a game tonight. Sharks.
He's Catholic, I don't know. His last formal affair.
I think he's Catholic.
Maybe his brother's wedding years ago is when he last wore those shoes.
You're a Catholic, aren't you?
I was raised Catholic.
You were raised Catholic, yeah.
Yeah.
Jewish.
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I don't see religion. I just see we have two beards.
Jets and Sharks tonight. We'll give our thoughts about the game. Jets could win 10 in a row tonight.
10. Double-digit wins in a row.
We'll be right back.
The train keeps rolling.
Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, Nat has won the Wash Method Car Wash from 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. He says, hello, guys. I think it's a good thing when KC did not do well at Four Nations because the only place he belongs is with the Jets. So we're sending that off to the best car wash
and this
west of the Mississippi, probably the entire continent.
West of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
No, wait, east of the...
Because the Mississippi headwaters are in Minnesota. So, yeah, we'd still be west of it, yeah.
And you're going to need a car wash this week, trust me.
Oh, big time. Oh, yeah.
And there's romance.
There is romance. Yeah. You go in there, they're just pounding.
Barry White.
Barry White, yeah.
Boys to Men.
That's right, yeah. Some of the great love songs.
Peter Cetera.
Yeah, all that stuff.
You know who Peter Cetera is?
No, never heard of him in my life. Jets and Sharks tonight. When you're a jet all the way. You know, it's the...
I don't...
You hate when I bring that up.
Musicals. Not with the musicals. Nobody in any life breaks out in a song in the middle of life.
You don't know me.
So you're telling me when you go to get your...
Yes, choreographed.
You go to get your car and there's a parking ticket on it. You take the ticket and go... Life is not gonna get me down, and pirouette, not only cartwheel over the hood of your car.
Yes, and not only that, everybody else on the street then joins in perfect choreography. Come on, Jim.
No, but Peter Cetera is worth a listen.
Jets and Sharks tonight. Listen, you're facing a team dead last in the league. They've lost 14 of their last 16. They're on a 5-game losing streak.
They don't like the internet here. It's dark and gloomy.
This is a game where you just push the pace, you play fast, you drive the puck up the ice, you maintain offensive zone time, you protect the slot, you do all that, you win your 10th in a row. But the challenge of tonight's game is you're playing a team that has nothing to lose. Like, their season is over, done, finished. They're not even playing desperate or with urgency. They're playing for fun right now, right? There's no hope. Hope has been dashed days ago.
Hope is a dangerous thing.
It is.
My friend Red told me that.
Yeah.
Back when we were doing time at Shawshank.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, to me, this is about the Jets, right? And totally, I know some people might say, don't let it. I had a tweet on Saturday, too, going, well, don't have a letdown against the Sharks, because, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Hellebuck's going to be back in. Morrissey's going to play. You're locked and loaded. You're at home. You're back home after the Four Nations. It's your first game since then. You're right. The Jets just have to play their game and they'll be fine tonight. I still like what the Sharks are doing here, and it's going to be great to see Macklin Celebrini on the ice and what he can do. But to me, this is a foregone conclusion, and I don't like to do that because no game is easy. And we talked about that when the Detroits and the Anaheims can beat the Jets. But I think the Jets, the way they're playing, and really we haven't talked a lot about this, but Saturday, Cam, they should not have won that game.
No.
But as John Shannon said in the postgame, and I wholeheartedly agree, bad teams like St. Louis find ways to lose those games, and good teams like Winnipeg or any good team finds ways to win. There was no quit. They were down. St. Louis was on a power play with 30 seconds to go in the game, up a goal, and they lost that game. Good teams do that, right? They have the confidence to go, we can still get this to overtime and win.
Jim Toth, take you all the way till 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Fortier, for producing the show. That's it for me. Be back same time tomorrow. Pre-game at 4, puck drop 6:30 here on 680 CJOB Jet Sharks. See ya.
Should we have Peter Cetera Day tomorrow?